There have been one or two coincidences in my life that I have trouble putting down to coincidence. I mean, some things I can look at and say, well, I guess that kind of thing happens, and forget about it. You think of someone and they phone you just at that moment. You're walking downtown at night and you wish you had another $20 and suddenly there's 2 tens folded neatly on the sidewalk in front of you. Even these little events can seem to have something of a mystic quality about them, but we let them go. But there have been a couple I couldn't just let go, though I'd rather not attempt to speculate here on what these things could possibly mean. On February 9th, 1964, I was still only 9 years old, about to turn 10 later that month. I played Civil War with my buddies. I dressed up for Halloween. My favorite songs were I've Been Working on the Railroad and Hang Down Your Head, Tom Dooley. If you'd asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I'd have told you the usual stuff. Policeman, fireman, soldier, jet pilot. But that night, as I sat down with the rest of the family to watch TV, it was all about to change. There was a show we always watched called The Ed Sullivan Show. Ed Sullivan was this man who would bring entertainers onto the stage and let them do their acts, and it was great. There'd be singers, magicians, puppets, comedians, even circus acts, a real variety show. And it was a show that everyone my age who grew up in Canada or the United States remembers. Everybody watched The Ed Sullivan Show. But I'm sure that when I speak of the night of The Ed Sullivan Show, they'd all have a pretty good idea which night I'm talking about. I'm talking about the first time North America saw and heard the Beatles. One minute I was a snotty-nosed little kid who never bothered to look beyond, well, maybe the coming summer. And in the next minute I knew what I was going to do with my entire life. I decided at age 9 that I would spend my life writing songs, and as it's turned out, that's what I've done. I'm not trying to tell you my life story here. I just want to tell you about this thing, this coincidence that happened to me many years later. See, everybody had their favorite Beatle. John was the lead Beatle, Paul was the cute Beatle, George was the cuddly Beatle, and Ringo was Ringo. My wife says George was her Beatle. John was mine. I can remember in the summer of 1969 sitting in someone's bedroom with some friends, and we were all turned on and we were listening to the White Album, and I was pointing to that photo of Lennon saying, "That's me, that's me." They didn't get what I meant. I didn't really know myself, and I still don't. Could have been just drug-induced insanity. Anyway, jump ahead to late 1980. I was now 26 years old, hippiedom been and gone, and I was fresh off of what I came later on to think of as my cowboy summer. I had been drinking tequila heavily for some months, and I was now drying out. I had quit taking drugs way back in '72, but I would still get flashbacks from time to time. So here I was in the sauna doing a drug purification program with a few like-minded friends. Now, see, when you're doing the shake and bake, as this program came to be called because of the exercise and sauna regimen, well, a lot of strange things can occur. The explanation, as I understand it, is that when some little bit of an old drug gets flushed into your bloodstream from wherever it's lodged, you get a little high all over again as it's cleaned out of your system. You can say you don't believe it, but the believability of it is not the point here. The simple point is that for whatever reason, however you want to explain it, when you do the program, you re-experience old highs, along with all manner of other things. Pain from injuries, headaches, anesthetics from operations, even radiation from old sunburns. The program turns all these things on, and if you stick with it, the program also turns them all off again for good. So one night we were all in the sauna, sweating away, talking about whatever, when very suddenly I experienced a series of sharp pains in my chest and arms, then in my head. It was accompanied by confusion and numbness. My friends said it was just the program, but I told them that wasn't the case, that this was something else. I left the sauna, got dressed, and went outside for a long walk. You're thinking it was a heart attack or some other thing, panic attack, whatever. I'm saying it wasn't. We could argue forever. I was there and you weren't. I walked until the pains eased up and I felt better, though still confused, and when I got downtown and went into where I worked, someone handed me a phone and said, "It's a call for you." The caller was a good friend of mine calling from home, and he was crying. "Lennon's been shot. He's dead." I never knew John Lennon. He'd certainly never heard of me, and we'd never been within 60 miles of each other, but at the moment that the shots were being fired in New York City, I felt the bullets on the opposite coast in Vancouver. And I think this kind of stuff happens all the time to a whole lot of people besides just me. And now, at the end of another night of writing, but before I bid you sweet dreams, I have one more thing to say, a story brief and to the point. On the day my grandfather died, so died my grandfather's house. I mean the plumbing, the electrical, the works. It might have taken a day or two for the whole thing to break down, and some may attribute the cause to other forces, the weather, the high water that June, God, but as I said, I have a hard time putting certain things down to simple coincidence. See, Grandpa left and it all broke down. It all broke down. And you know what that is? That's magic.